Hi everyone, it's 314 React here, and today we're just doing a little bit of an addition to the video I did last week on Counter-Strike Nostalgia. Now last week I noted that some of the maps don't seem to have as much shininess on them as they did before. For instance, the floor here on Dust 2, and a commenter on the last video actually pointed out that you can build the cube maps in HDR, because what I noticed is that when you turn HDR off, the shininess was back, and it seems that Valve have forgotten to build the cube maps for HDR on these maps now. But thanks to the commenter letting me know about the console commands, you can actually build them yourself manually. So that's what we're going to look into today, and we're going to see how much more shiny it makes these maps look. Oh, and also just as a little side note before I begin, the video stress test is broken as well. It just seems to quit out to desktop as soon as you click on it. I think that's been broken ever since I made that video, even in October 2023, so I couldn't check it out in that video. Hopefully they fix that as well, because I would love to do a video on that video stress test. It's very, very nostalgic. So as you can see here, not much shininess on this floor. Anyone who knows their Counter-Strike source knows that this floor should be very shiny, and the reason why, as mentioned, is because of the missing cube maps. So what you do is open up the console here, put SV cheats 1 on, so obviously make sure to do this offline. Then you type in building cube maps 1, then you type in build cube maps. Now I'm not going to show this part, and I'm also going to put in a warning here. If you're photosensitive, when you build the cube maps, it flashes up every single cube map being built from all of the probes around the map, and it's a lot of flashing on the screen. So I'm going to cut that bit out, and if you do this yourself, please do be aware that there will be a lot of flashing for potentially up to a few minutes while it generates all the cube maps. Yep, that's all been captured there, and because they're built in HDR, it's really bright when it flashes, so yeah, do be careful with that. And then once that's done, I go back to building cube maps and switch that to 0. And then you'll notice that the floor is still not shiny. What we need to do is just go to create server, reload the map, then head back to this area, and we see the shininess is back, and it looks so good. This is what I remember. Nice shiny tiled floors, and with nice HDR bloom there as well. So it looks fantastic. This is the source feel that I mentioned on my nostalgia videos. Lovely shine that sort of 2000s, mid-2000s games had. Long before screen space reflections, and long before ray traced reflections. And the way it works with the normal mapping there looks absolutely fantastic. I love it. And we'll check on another map, but I think it means that in HDR the cube maps will be missing, the reflections will be missing on the sniper scopes here, but now they're back as well as it flicks between the different cube mapped areas. So it gives at least some sort of illusion of a real-time reflection there. Zoom right in, take a good look at those specular reflections. Ooh yeah. Oh, that's satisfying. Really shiny stuff. Now the other thing I noticed is that some of the guns also have cube maps on them, most notably the M4 as far as I've seen, and when you don't have the cube maps built, it has no shininess on it, but when you built them, as we'll be able to see through here, the shininess is back on the M4. And that's, again, something that's been missing while I've been playing Counter-Strike Source with HDR on for quite some time, it seems. So not only does it enable shininess in the environment, it also enables nice shininess on the metal of the weapons here. And that'll be a updated cube map, just like the one in the sniper scope, so it should always be reflecting relatively what's around it. So glad that the commenter let me know about this, so thanks to them. Definitely brings you that 2000s source feel again. And the nice dust in here. Ooh, yeah, look at that. Reminds me of the PS3 menu screen. Now, you do have to do this for every single map individually, but the good news is once they've been built with those commands, you don't need to rebuild them because they stay on disk. And also the non-HDR maps don't need their cube maps rebuilt. For instance, if we go to Aztec and load up the sniper rifle, you can see the cube map reflections there in the scope. You can also see there is slight cube map reflections in this wet mud here, and you can also see cube map reflections in the water here as well. So for the old school maps that don't use HDR, I don't believe you need to worry about running the build HDR commands. It just seems like in later releases they've forgotten to pre-build them or include them with the install of the game. There you go, you can see some more specula there on the floor. So maybe this is something Valve will address at some point. If we load up the M4 here, you can see the metallic sort of reflections from the cube maps there on it. Cool. Do love the atmosphere of this map. So just as I've been going through checking these maps, as far as I can see, it's Militia, Dust, Dust 2, Inferno, and Nuke that have HDR compatibility. And interestingly, Militia and Nuke actually have the cube maps built, which is really interesting. So it looks like it's just for Dust, Dust 2, and Inferno that they haven't built the cube maps for. So I don't think this is a completely global thing. It must be that they rebuilt the game at some point in some fashion, released it without rebuilding the cube maps just on those maps. So next we're going to go to Dust 2. We're going to buy a Magnum, and you can see the scope there has no reflection in it at all. And if we get the M4, you can see there's no sort of metallic reflection on it really, there's just sort of basic shading. And of course the floor here has no specular on it at all. So if we run through those commands and reload the map, the Magnum sniper rifle we can see now has the proper cube map reflections in it, as well as extra shine along the scope there. When we grab the M4, you can see much more shiny metallic look to it. And of course when we go through to here, you can see the floor is much more shiny again, and all the cube maps are back. You can also see it in the USP. There's now reflections in that as well. So it looks a lot more metallic. So yeah, this is really interesting that it's just for those few maps where they just haven't rebuilt the cube maps as part of the assets to go onto Steam. So hopefully they fix it. But for now, there is a workaround. If we go Deagle. Oh yeah, the Deagle is where you can really see it. Look how reflective that is. It's so shiny. And we can do a direct comparison when we load up Inferno. Because I think these are pretty much all the shiny areas in Dust 1 and 2. Militia we've looked at in other videos, and Nuke we've looked at in other videos, I believe. So we know those aren't missing the cube maps. And we already know what those look like. But Dust 1 and 2 and Inferno, if they've been in my previous videos, I know Dust 1 and 2 definitely have, then we know we've been missing something, and not just on the surfaces, but on the weapons. So let's go over to Inferno. You can see here we've got the Magnum with no reflection in the scope, and we go to the Nighthawk, the Deagle, and you can see it's just the shading on it. Look at that. No shininess, no reflections at all. Looks so strange. And I'm sure some of these floors and stuff are probably meant to have shine on them as well. Like this floor in here, almost definitely will. That bottle may well do as well. This floor here. Let's do the commands again. Building cube maps 1, and then build cube maps, and then reload the map. Let's move out. And there we go. The cube maps and shininess on the Magnum. And then when we go to the Nighthawk, look at that. Full on shininess and reflections. That looks great. Now we can look around the map, see what now has shiny bits added to it. So a lot of the cobblestone sort of areas, not so much. But how much better does this church look in CS2? It looks like they finished building it by the time it's CS2. There you go, a bit of Counter-Strike lore. Okay, not so much shine in here. Oh, there you go. There it is. There's the shine. The cube map shine. Excellent. Oh, that's good. Yeah, there's not that many shiny floor areas on this map. But just having the Deagle reflecting again. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. There you go. Nice bit of shine in the USP there. And the cube maps in the Magnum there. So now if we head on over to Nuke, you can see there's a reflection in the scope here. And there's also cube maps in the windows here as well. And as you can see, due to the exposure changing and the bloom and brightness, HDR is clearly on. There's a really big example there of cube mapping. So it's really strange that some of these maps just haven't had their cube maps baked into them. I'd have thought it would have been all HDR maps if it was going to be missing, but Militia and Nuke have them. There's also less maps that support HDR than I thought. I thought there were a load more, but maybe I've missed some. I was just kind of going through the maps and eyeballing it, so let me know if I've missed any. Yes, I do love the blue lighting with HDR and bloom on. Really nice. There you go, some more cube maps there, and even on the bomb there you can see on the screen little cube maps. Anyway, let's check out some militia now. So here we are. You can load up the rifle. You can see the cube map there. And you can also see the reflections on the water here as well. Fully cube mapped up. Look at that level of detail on that little bit of grass there. It just disappears. That's funny. You can already see the reflections on the windows there. Reflections on the floor there. All through here. In this room here. On the floor here. So yeah, Militia Nuke fully... Oh, that's so freaky. Militia Nuke fully cube mapped up and supporting HDR. To summarize, the maps that support HDR and are also missing cube maps are Dust, Dust 2 and Inferno, with Militia and Nuke being the maps that also support HDR but have their cube maps built with them. So that's really interesting. I'm not sure how long that's been a problem for. This is a problem that could have been around for a decade. I can think to at least a couple of years back where I remember not seeing that shine. That was Counter-Strike Source with the cube maps back on in the HDR maps that were missing them. So the videos I've made before that had these maps that have been missing just a little bit of extra graphical shine, and this video now makes up for that. Now we have these amazing shiny floors left that really give me that nostalgic feel. So again, thanks to last week's commenter on the video for letting me know about this. Thanks for watching. Leave a like. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did you notice this was missing? Do you know why it's missing? Do you know how long it's been missing for? Let me know. Also subscribe and hit the little bell, really helps. There's a new video every week on tech and video games, and next week may be about Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Just make sure to tune in and find out. Thanks for watching. Hope everyone's staying safe, and I will see you in the next video.